office at the end of November. Kayla, get a move on. Get the ball rolling. Like, it's so hard for me. I literally need, like, I feel like a child that needs adult supervision to, like, keep me on task and be like, remember you said you were gonna, you know what I mean? It's not on purpose, but I wish I wasn't like this, trust me. I've talked about aliens. So, okay, I have a, oh my God, thank you. You guys are so sweet. I have a predictions video from 2022. Just lighting. I have a predictions video from 2022 on YouTube where I talked about aliens, and I need to reference that YouTube video because I was right about so much shit. I was right about the fucking water contamination shit and the air contamination shit that happened earlier in 2023 in wherever it was, Ohio or something like that. I was right about all of that, and I was right about I did mention aliens, but I was saying like it was something that was gonna be politically brought up to sway attention from probably like war related themes. And I'm pretty sure during, and forgive me, I know I sound very uneducated, and it's because I am when it comes to like Ukraine and stuff like that. I don't pay attention to it, and it's not because I don't care. I just get so lost within it, and it honestly is hard to research without reading something that is quite biased, so it's hard to get to the root of it. But we had the Chinese spy balloon and that bullshit fucking press conference where they're like, we found an alien body in a casket. That shit. And then what else? I thought we were gonna have a bigger bang in 2023, but I'm realizing now that a lot of the predictions I made last year apply to this year and the next year because I didn't realize how much Pluto was going back and forth. I think in my head the first time around I thought Pluto was entering and not even retrograding back out. So it's kind of like Pluto's literally doing this. Like Pluto's literally like, oh, tricked you, because he's not like staying there. So it's like we're getting these little sprinkles, like the Miami thing. That's such a Pluto and Aquarius thing, but it's like a little and then it goes away again, and it's like we need this to, once Pluto's like for real in Aquarius, like 2026, there's no going back, honey. It's gonna be that all the fucking time. It's just I have this is the thing though, because in that video I was saying that I feel like they're going to try to make us think we're having an alien invasion, because the best way to obviously operate people, the best way to control people is through fear. And people like us can like sit here all day and be like, fuck the government, I hate the government, like I don't trust them, like I'm not listening to them. But if something scares us enough, we will be like, like help to the government, because we are supposed to rely on them. That's the whole point. But like we know realistically when you rely on them, they take advantage of you. So something like COVID, for example, at first you're like, this is stupid, like our country isn't handling this right, and then your fucking grandma dies, and then your best friend's mom dies, and then you get sick, and then you start being like, okay, you know what, this is really scary, like I want your help. And that's kind of the relationship that I think people have with the government now, but I do think it's getting to that like Pluto revolutionary point where people are finally listening to me, and instead of looking at the government and being like, okay, help, like I'm sorry, like I really need your help, I need your support, like can you give us a solution now? You should be looking at your neighbor, you should be looking at your family, you should be looking at your friends, because these people are far more likely to help you. Your community is far more likely to help you and know shit and be willing to, you know, do a little barter thing with you back and forth than the government. We know this. So when you have something like a fucking alien invasion, something that we've seen in movies, we never thought it would be real, and now all of a sudden you with your own eyes are seeing something in the sky or at the fucking mall or, you know, in your backyard, it will scare people enough to be like, okay, seriously, like, I want your help, to our own government. So my general consensus, especially because Pluto is fear and power and control dynamics, I was like, they're gonna start putting shit here and there to really get us like, oh my God, no, this is scary. Like, this is scary and this is real. Like, what the fuck do we do? And it's gonna make people lose their minds enough to then fall into what is the solution, the safety protocols with COVID, for example. What we should have done was, yes, stayed inside. But instead, it was everything but that. And you couldn't go see your family, but you could go to the fucking bar, you could go to like the liquor store, you gotta wear masks, you could go everywhere, but the curfew was at 8 because COVID shuts off at 8 p.m. Or I'm sorry, COVID turns on at 8 p.m. So you need to get back home. Like, all these things that don't make sense. So when it comes to like this alien stuff, especially, like, I would not be surprised if I actually do feel like in the spring something like insane is gonna happen. Anything that happens in an election year, you need to take with a grain of salt because it is an election year. So like, it's very likely that anything that hits the news, anything a celebrity endorses, anything that you see in a headline, anything that becomes a talking point on TikTok is like, very present for a reason. It's not for no reason, and it's to sway you in either which direction. So it's going to be up to you which like hole you fall down. But that's why I always tell people who watch like soft life, femininity content, like, I like the content. I do like the content, but you're very quickly falling down into like an alt-right pipeline, and a lot of people don't realize that. People don't realize that like things like that are political. But with the alien things, I feel like I've seen my fair share of things in the sky where I do lose my breath. I do, like, and it scares me enough to have like, because I already have paranoia, and there was times where like this time last year I was walking a lot at night. And I would look up, and I was walking for like hours every night, and because I had so much time out there was a lot of time to observe a lot of fucking weird things in the sky that I was like, what is that? Like, why is this moving so fast? I have videos of it. And those things scare me. Like, they do scare me. But I think that knowing we have technology where like you can put, for example, like in Japan, one of like the cooler marketing things I've seen is like they can project a QR code into the sky, and it literally looks like a QR code is like being formed by stars. And that was like marketing for a video game, and you can put your phone up to the QR code and it brings you to the video game, which is insane. That's cool technology. But knowing we can do things like that, and that I saw a video the other day too of like, it's literally like a flame gun, and it's like a laser flame that you can like use as a gun, and it's so precise. Like, things like that, like, okay, if we're seeing this on TikTok, like, by all means, people like higher up have access to it. And I think that there's gonna be a little hoopla. I think the Miami thing was a little bit of hoopla, and that's not to say that people didn't see something. I do believe that people saw something. I don't think the thing they saw was as real as they think it is. I don't think that, like, I don't know. I do want to believe there's extraterrestrial beings that do want to communicate with us and do want to help us. I do believe that that's true. I think both things exist at once, but I also think that the government is scrambling a little bit, and they're running out of tricks, and they're like, bro, we need to get the conspiracy theorists talking. Like, we got to get them talking about something. And they throw a bone through things like that because they know our fucking dumb little working class brains are gonna be like, ooh, Epstein, ooh, an alien at the mall, like things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that my most important advice with anything regarding anything that we're talking about, you cannot be so afraid that you're like, like, I'm listening to the rules. Because what I was trying to say was the prediction that I made was saying that there's going to be something that convinces people enough to be scared and believe, oh my God, this horrifying, like insane, groundbreaking thing is happening. And they are going to offer what is like a solution to it, or this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to protect you guys. And what that protection likely is going to be is like, we need to have more surveillance. That way we can make sure this is like a real person and not, you know, an alien who's going to put us at risk. So we're going to be scanning more things. We're going to have more cameras out. We're going to have more ways of like, you know, doing security with fingerprints or something like that. We're going to make sure that like everything is recorded. Like literally, you know, 1984, like Big Brother's watching shit, and it's gonna be under the guise of like, it's to protect you, it's to save you, it's because we care about you. But really what's happening in that moment is you're giving up your autonomy, you're revoking any sense of being an individual, having like citizen rights, and you're giving everything up to them. And the reason that that works is because you are in that moment consenting to it. You are giving it to them rather than them taking it from you. When we feel things getting taken from us, that's when people overthrow the government and do a revolution. When we are going to work every single day and we're not getting paid, that's why people start being like, fuck this place that we live in. When something horrifying is happening and they're saying, see, you need my help now, and you go, okay, fine, that is your fault at that point. And that's why it's literally an abuse tactic that happens with like people in control and their citizens. And that's exactly what happened with COVID. Literally, it was scary. There was enough evidence to be scared. There was enough, you know, things you could see, visuals you could see that were kind of scary, like, but in your own eyes, in your own environment. And at that point we were like, oh my God, okay, fine. Like, you decide what we do because this is really scary. And now looking back, so many people were like, I can't fucking believe we couldn't even go to work. I can't believe that we were forced to take this thing. I can't believe that, you know, I wasn't even seeing my family because da-da-da-da-da. And at that point it's like, well, yeah, because you wanted it to be that way. You get what I'm saying? Like, is that making sense? Listen, when you like go through something abusive in your life, you realize, holy fuck, like, yes, this is maybe happening in my personal life on a personal level, but it really cracks your brain open in a way that you cannot return back to, where you realize the extent of how abuse is something that is trickled down through religion, through government, through education, through finances, the economy, through everything that you know, through love, what love looks like on paper. All of it is literally an abuse cycle where you are gaslit and gaslit and gaslit and gaslit, and then you wake up one day, you realize, holy fuck, this is what's actually been going on. And then at that point it's too late and you're too like weak, or you believe you're too weak to do anything about it. And that's like kind of where we're at, I feel like, right now. There's like abuse cycle. Even, what was I thinking about? There was two things I was thinking about. One of them had to do something with like the food, like the way that agriculture and food is handled and stuff. Why did I think that that was like an abuse tactic though? I guess in the sense, like medically speaking, how like so many people are sick and like the advice is like, well, just eat healthier, and then you eat healthier, but the things that you think are healthier are like sprayed with shit that's getting you sick on purpose. And then you're like, what am I doing wrong? I did exactly what you said. I'm eating healthier, so why am I getting sicker? And then they'll give you something to help you not be so sick anymore, but it's in the supply, so you're just gonna be sick no matter what. And it becomes this gaslighting thing where it's like, you're fat, you're sick, and you don't feel good because you're not doing enough, you're not working hard enough. If you tried a little bit harder, you wouldn't be sick. And you're like, well, every fucking option you're giving me is making me sick. And it's the same thing as like in your relationship. Like, you're like, oh my God, why did you cheat on me? And they're like, well, you know, I wasn't cheating on you. And then you do that back and forth forever, and then they finally admit they cheated on you, and then they're like, well, I cheated on you because you're fucking mean to me. You think that, you know, you're always mad at me, you're always insecure. And you're like, well, I'm insecure and I'm mad because you cheated on me. And then it becomes this thing. Like, it's just so bad. It's just so bad. And it's in everything, literally everything in our lives. And that's why you need to, I think that like the solution is you need to you need to have a sense of faith, and you need to have a very strong sense of confidence in like your self-worth. And I don't mean confidence where it's like, oh, you need to put lashes on, you need to like how you look, or like you need to overcompensate and be cocky so people think you're confident. It's not that sort of confidence. It's confidence in like, bitch, you woke up on this earth for like you didn't ask for that, and now it's your real estate. Like, you were put here, and you do have autonomy. You have more autonomy than you think you do. And it is like you should be, you know, rightful to a certain level of entitlement, because like on paper, the circumstances of like the way that the earth works, if a bunch of people just woke up as a baby and that now you're like populated, let's say the world isn't millions and billions of people like it is right now, we'll say it's like 50 people. Yeah, you each get your own right to be like, this is not how we're fucking doing this, because I'm here too. Like, we have to figure this out together. You don't get to just tell me what to do and I have to do it just because you're saying you get to choose what we do and I just have to listen. Like, all of it is just very made up. It's very not real. And that's why I feel so bad for and am legitimately afraid of people who live by the book of life that we're told, like, so seriously, because I'm just like, you are literally a fucking bot. Like, what is going on up here? Do you have your own thoughts? And it's scary because like a lot of people are like that. Unless, and this is the unfortunate thing, unless you've been dragged through the hell of life, which is abuse, addiction, homelessness, those people know what the fuck they're talking about because they are the victim of it. And like, victims know their abuser more than anybody else does. And people have this impression that if you've won in life and you've always been happy and you've always had money and you've always been hot, like you have the keys to it, and they don't. They don't. People who get the brunt of life are literally the only ones who know what the fuck is going on. And that's why it's so sad, because when bad things happen to you or you go through bad circumstances, the first thing it's going to do is make your self-worth plummet, because we're led to believe if those things happen to us, it says something about us, and it's not true. And by believing that, that's why bad people win, because like you fall for that belief. I saw a tweet actually today that was like, it's sad how like undergoing or enduring bad treatment is embarrassing. And that's literally the whole fucking point. And that's what you need to avoid, is that it's not embarrassing. You're led to believe it's embarrassing. It is not embarrassing to be a victim or to have been abused. That belief is to keep you silent and ashamed and like curdling inwards, so that sort of abuse and toxicity can like be rampant and run free and thrive off of that. That's why people who have been abused and like still are confident and come out and don't shut the fuck up about it are like the most powerful people ever, because the whole cycle of it is like, you're supposed to go through all this stuff in private and then feel so ashamed that you don't say anything. That's why Cassie was a perfect example of that. Cassie's a beautiful girl. She's gorgeous. She like has her music. She was modeling and stuff. Cassie could have easily either stayed in that relationship or left it silently and never said a fucking word, because the first thing people usually say, she's a hoe, she asked for it, oh, she got all her money and now she's upset about it. Well, she did that shit. The awful things he put her through, like sexually on camera, like all of that was I think Diddy's plan of like, well, all this is going to be documented. If this ever comes out, she would, you know, run and hide. This is going to keep her silent, because if she ever tries to come up against me, I have all this dirt on her. It's blackmail. And that's why people, like, her approach to getting her own justice was impeccable, because she didn't allow that to hinder her from getting her justice. The worst things in the world could happen to you, and they could even be very embarrassing. But if you say it first and you're like, yeah, now what? I said it, like someone else can't hold it over your head. And the only reason people can hold things over your head is because there's like an imaginary thing of like who should be embarrassed and who shouldn't. And if you flip that scale yourself, like what's the rebuttal at that point? Like nobody can try to embarrass you and make you feel ashamed, because you're like, yeah, it did happen, and like, now what? So I don't know, that's just my general, like, I know that those things like all, you know, overlapped and blended together, but it's because they're all the same thing, literally. Everything that you go through in your personal life happens on a collective level. It just looks a little bit different, and it's expressed and communicated to you a little bit differently. This damn laptop. Should I leave? Oh, I did not get done what I wanted to get done. But I have a good little to-do list in front of me. I just wish my day didn't start at 5 p.m. And it's not because of anyone else but myself. I just do not wake up until now. And the first half of the day just goes out the window. Like, I was supposed to be filming a video this whole time. But no, I don't want to because it's dark and I'm the only one in here. Whenever I talk a lot, I'm always like, I wonder how many words I just said, because it was definitely a lot. My dream death is when you die. I'm a Virgo moon. When you die, you get so many statistics of like how many words you said, how many times you said this word, how many times you did this. I wouldn't say right before, because that would be too obvious. It's probably gonna be like February, March. Actually, I would say during eclipse. Oh, I had an interesting observation about the eclipses, and I haven't fully formed it yet, so it's probably not gonna make any fucking sense. But you can look up the map of an eclipse, like to see what states, like what countries are gonna be the most lit up by an eclipse. And the one that we're having in April in Aries goes over all the Confederate states, specifically all of the Confederate states. And there was another, it's either the other eclipse or something, follows the exact path of that like Chinese spy balloon. I don't know if that has to mean anything, but I was just like, that's weird that we're having an eclipse literally go on the same path of something that was having was technically like surveillance, I'm assuming for like war efforts. And we're going to war, honey. We're like in war. I don't know if that's like we're having transits that literally the last time they happened was during the Revolutionary War, but also the Civil War. And that had a lot to do with like Confederacy. And I'm just like, okay, Trump, alt-right, like when I'm looking at the astrology for the election day, it looks so intense. And like, listen, these words are hard to work with sometimes because I know they're vague. It looks intense. It looks like a little volatile and violent. It looks scary and intimidating. And Trump has like incredible astrology that day. So if he doesn't win, or even if he does win, I'm assuming like the only thing I can imagine, at least right now with no context of what's to come for election season, is that I think there's absolutely going to be like very violent riots or protests, but it looks more like a riot vibe. It looks more like it could even be like violent celebratory energy. Texas is lit oh my god, my sweat mark. Texas is lit the fuck up for the April eclipse. Oh fuck, I need to look at Patrick Mahomes' chart like now. I want to order sushi, but this guy said I can't eat that. That's all I want right now. I know, I don't want to like broadcast the Texas thing too loud because obviously like I don't want people from there freaking out. I'll have to look into that more. I mean, it goes through all of those states. It's not just Texas, but you know, Texas is so big and it's taking up a big chunk of that path. So I'm like, oh wait, there was actually an eclipse in October that was emphasizing Texas big time. And what happened? There was a kid that like, I think a kid shot up like a fair, like a state fair or something like that, which I wouldn't attribute that to an eclipse because people get shot every day. Sorry, it happens. I wouldn't say like a national eclipse, that would be the result of it. But I remember at the time, I think something was going on in Texas and people thought that was like a distraction or a cover-up. I don't fucking know. Okay. So tired. Yeah, I don't remember what the other thing going on was, but I remember being like, huh. It's a little interesting. Okay, who's gonna walk me to my car? I need to pee again, but I'll just wait until I get home. Excuse me. Oh, also, I meant to say, you guys told me to save the lives, like after I'm done doing them, and I tried to save the one I figured out how to do it, but I learned the hard way not to be live while I'm in my car because it wouldn't let me download it because it you know, it's dangerous to drive and go live. So I guess it's a good TikTok rule, but what literally as it ended, I was like, wow, I'm surprised like TikTok doesn't pick up on the fact that I'm driving. Like I feel like if you were allowed to do that, people would be driving all the time on live. And then I learned my lesson that yeah, it can't happen, and that's why you don't see it, Kayla, because it's not fucking allowed. So it didn't let me save it, but whatever. Oh, immigration is very, very big with the eclipses. That's the other. I really need to like sit down and write these predictions out because they're gonna come sooner than I am planning them for. And then people are like, you knew that. Whatever the fuck they say. And I'm like, bitch, how would I have known that?